a little trip with me, and hopefully you can see how the hood, suburbs, and Main Street are all connected. Enough respect, I mean, we network across the globe, cause it's a global market in case you didn't know. And since we all about information flow, let me be the first one to welcome you to Tech Zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. Let's talk tech, cause technology changing the game. It's all good in the hood, it's everywhere. Now let's get to the show, cause we live on air, yeah.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane, and it is my honor to have you with me. We welcome you who are listening here nationally and you who are tuning in internationally. It's so much a joy to be able to be with you on the show, talk about technology, talk about things out there. I'm sure you're going to have a great time. If not, let me know. I can switch it up a little bit. On our show, coming up in our second segment of the show, we're going to be talking to an individual and how he is using technology to help motivate, to help innovate, to help ones out when it comes to their personal freedom, and how his story is really going to touch you, so you don't want to miss that. Also, coming up in this segment, we know E3 is right around the corner. And I'm so happy to be covering E3. This is about my 5th or 6th year of covering E3, and I'm looking so forward to it. I want to give a huge shout out right quick to the folks over at Live U. Their solo unit is going to be the reason why we were able to broadcast live from the floor of E3 and at various events that we will be covering during E3, different press conferences, all because of our great folks over at Live U. So what do we have to look forward to this year at E3? And we know it was announced earlier this year that it's now open to the public, and those tickets have been sold out. So what does that mean for industry professionals, media, who now have to share the stage and the spotlight with the fans and also fanboy out there? Well, I decided to have my great friend join me to talk about it. And you know I had to have my dude join me on the show as we're going to talk about E3 that's coming up next week. Tony Polanco, gamer, reporter, editor, you name it, and host of the Throwdown. What's going on, Tony?
My man, Paul, how you been, man? Thank you for having me on once again on the Tech Zone, man. Looking forward to this.
Man, you know how we do it because we met, four years ago at E3. So we said we had that. We always got to have our annual E3 chat because it was cool because Tony and I would always sit by each other at the Xbox conference. We're going to talk about that later on today too. But, and then Tony and I just connected last year. We said, hey, we got to hook up, man. We got to talk some games. We got to do this, got to do that. Man, you've been pretty busy lately, man. How's the writing going?
Man, it's crazy. Like, I think I said this in like a previous episode because I've been doing this joint like for free most of my life, right? Or at least for the last 5 years. And now since November 2015, I actually became I guess you could call it a professional, paid professional. So I've been just enjoying the ride, man. Like just writing about things I love and getting paid for it. To me, I'm still like, if somebody's going to show up at my house and be like, yo, we made a mistake. We can't be paying you for this. You're having too much fun. You know what I'm saying? It's wild, man. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you really want to do something, it's going to sound corny. Dreams can come true, man. You got to stick with it, man. I'm living the dream right now, man. I'm loving every second of it, you know?
Real talk, my man. Real talk. So, hey, so let's talk about E3 is coming up. You and I talked about, I think a few months ago, we talked about Fanboys going to be able to be there this time. And what's been kind of the feedback in the gaming community, you know, when it comes to Fanboy being there? Are they starting to taunt us now online?
Oh, man, here's the thing, because there's a distinction, right? There's fans, right? A fan just enjoys the products, they enjoy the culture, all that, and, you know, that's just it. Fanboys, on the other hand, they take it to a whole other level. They have a very cult-like mentality, you know what I'm saying? And that stuff gets kind of dangerous because you have people threatening developers and all that other stuff, you know, fighting with each other on Twitter and social media. It's getting a little crazy out there. And now, like, because they're acting like this whole console war stuff is like an actual war. You know, back in the day, you would call it console war, but it would just be like a joke or whatever. But now these dudes are taking it serious. You know, it's like, yo, guys, calm it down, man. But And I don't even know how to like solve that. I don't know if it's like I don't know, man. It's crazy. Here's the thing. It's as weird as it's gonna sound. I think like perhaps the problem may be social media itself. It's letting like all the ugliest parts of people just come out.
No, well said, my friend. Because you look at some of the social media wars out there that we see, and people getting crazy, people losing their jobs. That they're using these racial slurs, homophobic slurs, and everything. And it's like social media brings out. I want to say it can bring out the best in people, but also can bring out the worst in people because people are sitting behind that smartphone, sitting behind their console, sitting behind whatever electronic device they got, and they feel emboldened, they feel hyped up, and they necessarily won't tell you to your face, but they'll do it behind closed doors, and it's like I'm gonna use a line of Rodney King. I grew up in L.A. and Compton and Long Beach during the riots. And I remember Rodney King stood up in the press conference, he said, "Can we all just get along? So can we just get along, and just have fun? Let's enjoy the games." And Tony, I was looking at the lineup of what's happening at E3. And one of the things that shocked me, and I'm kind of glad, is that Sony's, their media event, their press conference is going to be streamed in different theaters nationwide, man. That's sweet. But you and I, we get a chance to be there live in a living color, man.
You know what I'm saying? By the way, In Living Color, fantastic show from back in the day. But yeah, they did that last year. I know a bunch of my friends who, are just regular gamers. They had like events going to theaters and stuff. It's like, for us back in the day when we would go watch Star Wars and stuff, it would be like a big event. For them, going to the Sony joint was a big event, So I'm glad they're doing it this year, but it also lets me know that Sony has something pretty big, planned, because remember last year they had the whole orchestra and all that other craziness and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm expecting something on that level. That press conference was one of the very best I've ever seen, man. No fluff, nothing but games. If you think about it, the only developer that came out was Hideo Kojima, and my man came out like a rock star. It's like a presentation. Because that's the thing I always tell people. Like some people playing, they only showed, CG. They didn't really give a release date. It's like, okay, yeah, that stuff is important. You got to show gameplay and release dates, but at the same time, it's also a show. You got to put on a grandiose presentation, right? And that's what's part of that. So it's not just like information dumps. You got to put on an entertaining show, and Sony definitely delivered on that point. And I expect that to happen again, especially because they're going to be having it in the movie theaters.
And what was bananas? After E3 last year, I covered Comic-Con in San Diego, and I'm interviewing actor Scott Porter from Friday Night Lights and a lot of other things. And he was talking about gaming. He was like, "Yo, at Sony last year," I said, "Scott, I was there too, man." So it was like we were like gaming out on each other, because last year they put on a show, and we know Microsoft fell a little bit short, and maybe that's why they're kind of blackballing me this time for the media event, because I got an email back in February talking about save the date, but I guess they might have watched my coverage I gave about them, but I was just being real. I was just keeping it 100. And here's the thing. If you are going to have this grandiose event at the Galen Center in Los Angeles, in this beautiful arena, and you're not going to do as good as you did back in 2015, you better hurry up and know that we're going to talk about it. That's what they underperformed to me, Tony. I'm sorry. Last year, all they did was give us that clip about the Project Scorpio, and that was it. But the year before, when they had the HoloLens and they had all, they just, and they had the Ferrari to come from the ceiling.
Right.
that was just bananas, man. But, now, I think they're mad at me, Tony. I think I'm in the doghouse now, man.
If it's funny, if you're in the doghouse, then how did I get a clean entry? Because I'm apparently an Xbox hater, according to these fanboys online, But yeah, here's the thing. Last year I agree with you. I wouldn't say it was disappointing, but it was definitely disappointing compared to the year before that. But I think this year now we're going to get the actual Project Scorpio. I predict that we're going to get to see the actual box and a price. The price is the point where I'm most interested at, because remember, from the very beginning, Microsoft, Phil Spencer was saying this is a premium price console, right? What is premium price? Let's just be honest, man. It's $500 and up. And the Xbox One that was $500. That wasn't billed as premium price. So it could be even higher than that, because if you think about the components that are inside this thing, and your tech, your stuff, this thing, like, try to build a PC that's equivalent to that. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, as a matter of fact, I think GameSpot, right? The website, they did build a mock-up Xbox Scorpio, right? And it cost them nearly $800, $900, right? So I'm like, Microsoft may be taking a big hit if they're selling this thing for $500. I think that's the lowest they could go with this thing, you know. But at the same time, because a lot of these guys are out there saying that this is going to be the system that's going to kill the PlayStation. No, it's not. The PlayStation has too much of a lead, right? But I think the Scorpio will be like great for enthusiast guys, like guys that are willing to spend that $500. I think they're going to get their money's worth. But for general consumers, it's not really going to be a thing they buy. Think about it like this, right? You have the PlayStation Pro, which is essentially kind of like the Scorpio, just a little bit weaker, right? That wasn't adopted by the mainstream. That was mostly adopted by the hardcore guys, right? But it did very well for Sony. So I predict that's what's going to happen with Scorpio. Scorpio is not going to be like a bazillion dollar selling thing, but it's going to do very, very well for the people that it's targeted to. It's not meant to be the quote unquote PlayStation killer, but it's definitely going to do very, very well. And it's exciting just to see new tech out there. So I'm willing to, just like put on, because I do have some kind of criticisms about it. Because as a matter of fact, and I know I'm rambling right now, but I'm just being honest. It's like, I don't really like the whole idea of like iterative consoles. I'm like, we don't really need a Pro or a Scorpio. We can just let these things ride out. But at the same time, I do like seeing where tech goes. So it'll be interesting to see Scorpio. You know what I'm saying?
And one of the things too is EA. EA is like they're just pulling all stops at this E3 because on Saturday they have the press conference, and then they have the EA Play coming up later on that day and Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Monday too. So they're pulling all stops, and they really want to push Battlefront 2. I don't know if you've seen some of the concepts of this.
Yeah.
But that looks ridiculous.
That looks good, man.
It does, doesn't it? I'm like, wow. And plus with The Last Jedi coming out this year, now they're playing on Luke. Luke's going to be in it this time. So it's going to be pretty amazing. Then they also want to highlight, of course, Madden, NBA. They want to do that one too. So out of all the EA titles, which one do you really want to see up close and personal?
Yeah, definitely Battlefront. Here's the funny thing, because the first Battlefront, like, I didn't really buy it because it was just exclusively a multiplayer game. I like stories, right? This one, they got that story right up in the center. I'm like, okay, this is cool, because Star Wars is my joint. I love Star Wars, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be honest, though, I'm not really like a sports guy like that. So all the other offerings, I'm not really too excited for. And they already released Mass Effect, so they're probably not going to do anything more on that. Hopefully they'll talk about Dragon Age. That's another EA franchise I really like. And today they just announced Need for Speed, the new Need for Speed. I forget the name of the new game, but they have a new Need for Speed. They're probably going to have that. I don't know if it's going to be playable though, but yeah, Need for Speed and definitely Battlefront is what I'm looking forward to with EA. My only complaint about the whole EA thing this year is like, they're having it all the way out in Hollywood. I'm like, come on, man. Now we got to go travel all the way out there too. Last year EA conference was right there next to the convention center, the LA Convention Center, which was nice and convenient. You know what I'm saying? You go there on your break or whatever. And I was like, ooh, it's going to be a little bit tricky getting out there. But yeah, I think it'll be worth it just for, for me at least, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Now, I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is going to be confirmed anytime soon, that E3 may be moving to Vegas, and the reason why, CES is out there in Vegas. And since E3 is growing, the Los Angeles Convention Center can hold all these different rooms, can have EA on one side, can have Xbox on they can do that with these different press conferences. And even though I love LA, grew up down there, I wouldn't mind going to Vegas, hanging out in Vegas for a week, and I think it'll make it a lot more convenient, especially if they see, because the public tickets they sold out already. So I think that they're testing the waters with this, but I think they have outgrown LA because it's inconvenient. Think about it, Tony. You're from New York. You gotta, you're probably gonna Uber to E3, and at the convention center, but now you have to go Uber to Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood traffic, man. It is ridiculous, and I think you're probably going to see some changes. Now let's talk about Ubisoft. What are you a big Ubisoft fan? Some of the titles that they have in the last year, they talked about the new Watch Dogs, you talked about the new Star Trek game, and it kind of fizzled after that. Didn't hear a lot of buzz about it. What has been your take on Ubisoft?
Yeah, Ubisoft, I know a lot of gamers give them a lot of flack. I actually like Ubisoft a lot. Watch Dogs 2 was an excellent game. They got a new Assassin's Creed. It's funny about Assassin's Creed because we know it's coming, but Ubisoft isn't saying anything. So that's going to be coming. I know they got the Crew, new Far Cry 5, which is very controversial right now. I think it's all good stuff. My thing is like, yo, can we get a new Rayman, please? Man, I love that series. But yeah, I think this year the big ones are going to be definitely Assassin's Creed. I think it's called Origin. The Crew 2, which it wasn't really my cup of tea when it comes to racing games, but I know a lot of people enjoyed that. Definitely Far Cry 5. Those are going to be a big, Ubisoft always has big showings out there, especially like their booth is always enormous and stuff. Just Dance, I believe they're probably going to have as well. So yeah, I think they're going to have a good showing this year. I know what you're saying about last year's conference. It was kind of whatever. So hopefully this year will be a lot better,
Yeah, and I think Aisha Taylor's going to be emceeing that. She's pretty cool now. She kind of stole the show, over
listen, I gotta say this, man. The best thing Ubisoft ever did was have Aisha Tyler as the host, man, because they used to have this one dude before her. I forgot what his name was. He was on Community, right? Boring. This dude was putting everybody to sleep every year, mad unfunny jokes. But Aisha Tyler, not only is she a great host, but she's a real gamer. Like, she lives for this stuff. So you could tell, in her, in her deliverance. So I'm glad they got her back. I'm pretty sure they probably got her locked down for like the next 10 years or something, And if they don't, you should, Ubisoft, because she's awesome. But yeah, so I think this year will be, pretty fun,
I know you and I talked about it off camera. We were talking about, what's being pitched a lot in the media world. And we know it's VR, AR and VR. There's a lot of things talking about that in the gaming wise. And I think they may have one of the bigger presence there this year when it comes to developmental tech and really trying to push that. What do you think the biggest hurdle there is for VR?
There's a couple hurdles, to be honest. The first one is let's just be honest, people come home, from a day of work or whatever, right? They're tired. They want to play a game now. If they want to play a VR game, they got to put on a headset, connect all these wires, all this other stuff, and then move their arms around and all this. People don't really want to do that. Most people really want to just sit down with a controller in front of their TV, play a game, and just that. So VR has a lot to overcome. Maybe in the future they'll have it so the only thing you require is just a headset and that's it. But now there's just too much wires and all this other stuff. So that's one. And, since I'm on Tech Zone with you specifically, there's also a hurdle with handicap gamers, right? Because I was trying out PlayStation VR for work. They sent me the unit and stuff, and I was trying, yo, this isn't really built for us, man. This is cumbersome. If you need to move around in a game, you're trying to move around in your wheelchair in your little apartment and stuff. At least for me, I'm bumping into stuff, and I'm yo, this is not comfortable at all. And then your height may be off and stuff, and I don't have an adjustable chair where I could make myself higher or anything. So it's a lot of hurdles, man. And then to be honest, I don't think they've mastered what types of games are good for VR right now. It's you can only really have first-person games on it, at least from what I see, and that's kind of limiting. I know there's a lot of games out there that are in first-person view, but if that's all you could do in VR, I don't know, man. I'm talking about just gaming, because I know some people may go, VR has so many other applications. Yes, it does. It's definitely a great tool to have, but for gaming, I'm still skeptical about it, and I'm talking about it as a guy who's tried VR pretty extensively, but I do agree with you that they are trying to push this thing, and I know there are people that do enjoy VR or at least want to see where it's going. But, as far as gaming, I'm still not sure. Think about it like this, right? Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, sales-wise, they've pretty much stagnated. Nobody's buying these things. And then PlayStation VR, which is the most successful proper VR, headset out there, no one's buying that either. So I think, I hate to say it, I think it may have, and I called it too, I think this may have just been a fad that's running its course. So this E3 may be the final time you really see a big VR push, like we've been expecting.
I think it's going to take the journey of the tablets. I remember, I want to say about 10 years ago at CES, they were talking about the tablet, and sales were stagnated. Nobody needed them. And then 4 years ago, everybody was getting tablets. So I think you're going to see a tail off, like you said. I think it's ran its course right now, but I think something is going to happen that's going to give it a different push. I think what they really got to work on is eye tracking. They got to do it in a way that a person, if they want to use their extremities, they can use them, but It's not mandatory. They really need to work on that and work on brainwaves too. I mean, they can do that. They have technology, that can do that. That can track your brainwaves. If you want to do this, you want to do that. And I think once they go over that hurdle, man, I think everybody's going to be getting, but the purest gamers, we like to have the controller in our hand. And you brought up a good point. I was at a Upload VR event last E3, and this one developer was there. He wanted me to try out his game so bad. And I'm like, it's going to be hard, man. I'm in this wheelchair. So he has me all, I'm all geared up. And then he starts moving my chair for me. Man, we must have unplugged that thing, and I don't think it worked right the whole night. I was like, player, I tried to tell you,
Yeah, I'm laughing because I've been in that almost the exact same situation. Like, hey, why don't you try this game? I'm like, I'm not sure I can try a game. And then I try it, and it's like, yeah, see, I kind of told you this was going to happen, I don't know, man. I think this stuff wasn't really, like, made for us. Like, I know there are some people out there that are, like, trying to do a better job of making VR more accessible to everybody, but it was definitely a technology made for regular folk. Let's just be honest. First and foremost, not saying that's a bad thing, because let's just be honest, we're in the minority when it comes to that, but it's still something you need to consider if you want everybody to be playing your stuff, But speaking about that, I have received a couple emails for E3 events like, oh, why don't you try out our VR game where you have to like sit on this other thing? I'm like, I'm already sitting on something, man. I can't be getting off this thing, So it's like, sorry, but I can't really try that,
Definitely. And Tony, before I let you go, my friend, anything else you wanted to articulate to the audience about E3 and some of the things that you're looking forward to coming up next week?
Yeah, like I said, the main thing I'm looking forward to is the Project Scorpio. I want to know the price. I want to know what the actual system's going to look like. I want to know backwards compatibility, all that other stuff. Sony's event, I'm looking forward to a lot. That's going to be a lot of fun. You know how they always bless us with all that food beforehand. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm interested to see how E3 is going to function for us professionals with all those regular folks milling around, I want to see if it's going to be as like horrendous as I fear it's going to be. I hope it's not, but we'll see about that. And one last quick thing, what you said about Las Vegas, right? I know they still have a contract to have E3 at the LA Convention Center for a number more years, but if they move it to Las Vegas after that, I would welcome that. I know you grew up in LA and everything. I don't like that city. I would welcome going anywhere else for E3.
Me too.
Yeah, but I still think this year it's going to be a good E3, man. It's going to be very, very interesting, man. So, look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And don't make sure you follow Tony and myself on social media, because I'm going to interview Tony. I'm going to try it again and do it live. I'm going to see if we can do it without Tony going Def Comedy Jam on me, but it's all good. No, we have a lot of fun, and you know what? Always check out Tony. Tony, how can they check you out? Check out your writings, check out the Throwdown Show. How can they do that, my friend?
Yeah, Twitter, man, at Romudeth, ROMUDETH. If you check out my bio, I have links to all my stuff, geek.com, Throwdown, Coalition, everywhere I am, So, yeah, please definitely follow me on Twitter, man. And yeah, I'm also very entertaining, I'm told, on Twitter. So, you'll have that too,
Yeah,
so, yeah, my man, Paul, he'll hook you up with all that information. So, yeah, follow me on Twitter, please.
Yeah, he'll talk about the tacos. He'll talk about paleo diets. He'll talk about everything. But definitely check out my man, Tony. And we didn't get a chance to talk about your Twitter hack, what happened to you. But next time we'll talk about that. Some sucker tried to hack him and mess him up. But
yeah, but you know what? I won in the end, man. I got my account and my username back, so I'm very, very happy about that. So I didn't think Twitter was going to come through for me, but they did, man. It only like a day. They got everything back. So thank you, Twitter.
Awesome, great talking to you, my man. Look forward to seeing you next week in E3.
You already know how it is, man. Take care, man.
That was the Dominican Dominator himself, Tony Polanco, joining me. Looking forward to seeing him next week at E3. That's where we met several years ago, and I'm glad we have connected. Great writer. Check out his writing when it comes to gaming. And don't forget, you'll be able to follow our live coverage there, all because of our folks over at Live View. So make sure you follow me on all my social media formats. We'll be at the different press conferences. We'll be from the floor. You name it, we're going to be there. So don't miss out. We're bringing E3 to you. Hey, when we get back, we're going to be joined by a wonderful individual who's going to talk about what he's doing to help others through the use of technology.